Welcome back to the Purpose Over Profit podcast. This week we've got Alec Witts on, who is a mindset and fitness coach. Alec is someone that I've watched over the last 4 years or so on his Instagram account or on social media in general. He's got a really great social presence, a very positive guy. He's also involved in property investing as well, so we're seeing a lot more of that content over the last kind of couple of months, which is great. And I thought it'd be great to bring Alec on and talk about, I guess, his journey from laying floors to getting involved in property, sacking his day job in, becoming a PT, getting NLP certified, and really just growing his business from strength to strength. But yeah, Alec works with business owners and individuals on working both their mindset and their fitness. And I thought it'd be really great to bring him in and kind of pick his brains about the type of things that he comes across with his clients and how people can kind of help themselves get into a better position in their lives, whether that's through their mindset or through their fitness or a combination of both. So I'm sure you're going to absolutely love this episode. And yeah, it'd be great to know what you think of it. Remember, if you like the podcast, if you like the episode, give us a thumbs up, give us a follow. It's very, very much appreciated. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, why not give us a review as well? We always love another 5-star review. Welcome back to the podcast. This week we've got Alec Witts on. How are you doing, Alec?
Hi guys, thanks for having me on.
Pleasure, Alec. Pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. So Alec's is a mindset and fitness coach, someone which I'm a member of your own story crew on Instagram, have been for a few years, Alec. So it's a pleasure to get you on the podcast. For those that don't know you, do you want to just give a brief background a bit about who you are and I guess what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, firstly, thank you very much for having me on, guys. You know, this gives me a great opportunity to just give value to the listeners, give value to your podcast, you know, and just talk about the experiences that I've had. Because, like you said, I'm a mindset and fitness coach. So what I do is I help people improve themselves from the inside out, because that's how I really changed my life. I was stuck I felt stuck and I felt trapped in a job that wasn't really a passion. I fell into it just out of college. And I believe a lot of people do this. They fall into jobs, they make financial commitments and then feel stuck and trapped and kind of start living a life that they never really intended to. You know, when you're a kid and the adults say to you, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? For me, never ever said I wanted to be a floor layer when I was a kid, and I ended up in flooring. And I went for a huge kind of shift and transition and did the work to create some businesses around my personality, grow and evolve as a person. And I've just got a massive passion for helping people do that, you know, with their fitness, their mindset, and just viewing their life from a different perspective.
I guess, how did you, I wasn't aware you were a floor layer, so how did you get into fitness then? Was that from an early age? How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so I've always been into fitness. I played football from a young age. I got signed for West Brom when I was a young boy, 13 to 16, and just always been into keeping fit. And what happened for me to become a personal trainer was I got in the gym. I actually quit football because I realised that it was playing football, you know, from an amateur level. It was purely entertainment. It was doing something because it was like a hobby. And I realised that it took a lot of commitment and a lot of energy, and it was just for entertainment. And I needed to change my life and pour my energy into something that was going to get me to where I wanted to go, or at least put me on the right path. And I got into the gym, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in a lot more depth as the podcast goes on. But the gym really helps you, you know, understand yourself from an internal perspective. And as I started to get fit, you know, because you want to change your body and get a lot fitter, the principles in fitness are the same in business of how you become successful. You know, discipline and work ethic and consistency and all of these things, they're all internal decisions that you make on a daily basis. And it was through that I started to realize that actually I really love this. and I help people do the same. There's a lot of emotional reward from seeing your body change and understanding how to do it, and it gives you a lot more control. So yeah, that's how I kind of evolved into that from floor laying, was just changing my own body.
Yeah, and I've been watching you. I think when you went, you were working part-time. You it wasn't like maybe it was a bit of a gradual, but can you talk a bit about that transition? I kind of watched a bit of it. Obviously what was on your Instagram and whatnot at the time, but can you talk a bit about how you made that transition, I guess, in yourself into, moving away from something that you felt a little bit trapped in, a job you fell into? How did you kind of transition your way out of it? Like, practically, that must have been quite difficult.
Yeah, it was difficult, because you're really in the unknown, and you never know if what you're doing is going to transpire until you've gone through this process quite a few times. So this is a property podcast, so I got to talk a little bit about property. So I got into properties with my best mate. We were just talking a lot about buying a buy-to-let property, and I know you guys have done legacy property education, and I found this free seminar online, and I said to Philip, my best friend, I was like, if we're going to buy a property together, let's just go to seminar and see what happens. And then we started to learn a lot more, and the more we learned, the more we realized that we didn't know, but then we learned that we could start a business, not just a property portfolio. And through this property education and journey, I found personal development and discovered personal development, which really, I liken it to The Matrix, the film. I don't know if you've seen the first Matrix, where Neo, he's in the Matrix and he gets unplugged to the real world. And it was kind of like that for me, but the opposite way around, where you were living in a conditioned world, but you weren't being woken up to. You
got red pilled. Yeah.
Yeah, I took the red pill, but whereas Neo wakes up to the world's a little bit horrible, and it's not very nice, and it's the truth. It's the opposite way around. You wake up to actual freedom, and it just made me really reflect on a lot of things, and I realized that who knows what they want to do when they're 17. When I was 17, my dad gave me the best advice that he could at the time. He's like, well, why don't you get a trade? Because I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and the opportunity came up to become a floor layer, and I jumped into it because I wanted to earn some money at the time. So right, let's just get earning some money while I kind of find what I want to do with my life. Then I made some financial commitments. I bought my first house when I was 23, and I got a mortgage, and then you get a car, and then you're like, shit, I've got bills to pay now. And it wasn't till, I got down this property journey and found personal development that I really started to reflect and think, okay, I'm 29. I was 29 at the time. Okay, I'm 29. Flooring, even though I was good at it, and I enjoyed laying floors because it was very skillful, I was like, it's not me. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I sought out, and committed to making that change, because it's quite easy to give yourself the excuse to stay still, that, I've got a mortgage, and, I've got this and I've got that, and starting a new business and then going self-employed, I've got bills to pay and it's too risky. That's the word I used to get a lot, risk. But I genuinely committed in my heart and my soul to make it happen. I would get up, you probably saw this on my stories, Darren. I would get up at 5 a.m. every single day, and I would go to the gym before I would start my working day, so I could just get focused, because I had to deal with solicitors and stuff, to buy properties during the day. And my working day, I had to then also be putting value out there on social media from a fitness perspective to help, brand myself. And I just needed to get up early and really just commit to it and kind of work outside of the normal working hours. And did that for a good 3 years before it transpired into, right, now I've become the person that can step away, because it was never really a case of building an income, even though that's important. It's like, right, I do need to replace my income, but it was always about becoming the person that could do it. And that's what I'm huge on.
So there's an element where you're building your own personal brand, but it's got to be authentic and true to you, because at that point in your career, finding personal development through the property circle must have been fantastic, because then that opens your eyes up, I guess.
Yeah.
And then that gives you the idea about going into coaching as well. Is that how it all kind of transpired?
Yeah. So I really started to learn a lot more about myself, I realized that, growing up in my sort of 20s, that I was a bit of a party boy, right? Which probably came from a bit of an insecurity around feeling like I wasn't on the path that I should always thought I would be on, or I felt like I was behind on my life. I wasn't as successful, if you want to call it that, as I thought that I would be when I was a kid growing up. So that just, deep rooted, I probably wasn't aware of it. I wasn't very self-aware. So I'd just be going out partying every weekend, living for the weekend, and really stuck in that cycle. And it wasn't until I kind of got that waking up and unplugged from the matrix where I started to understand myself a lot more. And oh my God, hang on, sorry. I just had an email come through and it's cancelled the Zoom. There we go. And I started to understand myself a lot more. And I realized that actually I'm a really good listener. I've always been that friend in the group of friends that's the counselor friend that everybody comes to with their problems. But what I did realize is you've got to be congruent. For me I would find solutions for my friends with their problems, but I think it was because I got a calming energy and was a good listener that they would come to me. But for me to genuinely help somebody in that situation, I couldn't have my own issues, or I had to have solutions for my own issues to help that person from a congruent place. And that was where I realized that, yeah, I do want to help people because it's a real passion and it makes you feel really good when you help somebody find a solution to a problem that they've got and to see their reaction to having that solution. But I needed to sort my own shit out first to genuinely congruently help other people. I see this a lot in the coaching space where there's people that aren't dealing with their own problems, but it's their job to help other people with their problems. I'm like, you can't deal with your own problems. You don't qualify to coach anybody else on their problems, and it was that inward focus to sort my own insecurities out before I could then really help other people.
There's a real, there's a confidence thing. Like I come through as when I left employment, that was transformational coaching. I wanted to be that, but I needed to have that accreditation. I needed to have some sort of certificate, but that was for me. It wasn't really for my clients. So I kind of always sit on the fence a little bit. There's definitely an element of being able to you can only take people as far as you've gone, and as deep as you've dug, so to speak. But I do think as well, there's this element of your own ego needing to have a certificate saying, right, Darren, you're good enough in this situation to be able to help someone. And often, you recognize as a natural skill, you're a good listener. Sometimes as a coach, that's all you need. It's just to be able to listen, be a lamppost, I describe it, be a lamppost for an individual where you're listening, be able to reflect back and get the thoughts from that person out spoken. And sometimes that's enough for them to go, what the hell am I talking about? That's not me. And that's enough to create the change that's needed.
Yeah, and it's not listening with an empty mind. It's really listening and trying to read between the lines with what people are saying. And talking about getting qualifications and stuff, that's what NLP really helped me to do, was just to add so much more depth to my listening, to be able to hear things that maybe wasn't being said, that then from a coaching point of view, then you can challenge that person with a question. If you question what somebody said, that's how you really start to change how they think and shift their perspective. For me personally, I think everything's about the perspective that you have. Your perspective is based on your map of the world, what you've experienced in your life, who you've been influenced by, maybe cultural beliefs, stuff like that. But really listening and then challenging somebody's, the way they talk about something can change their perspective, but then also start to challenge the beliefs that they have. And that's then where you can help people find solutions for their problems.
That's what I've read as well from a lot of your stuff. I loved when you talk about physical confidence. You kind of spoke about it there, where if you feel better, then your life gets better because you feel that more confident. And that's kind of how you seem to have kind of migrated that into your fitness as well. From a lot of stuff I've with the coaching, where you talk around, we really need to understand why you want to do something. It's not the fact you want to just lose weight. Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to build up your upper body, and then translating that into the gym environment as well?
A question I like to always ask is, what does this get for you? Okay, so you want to lose weight. So if you say I want to lose weight, I always talk about you want to lose fat, really. You don't want to lose weight, you want to lose fat. There's so many more things that make up your weight. Okay, so everybody wants to lose a bit of fat. And it's like, if you only focus on losing that, then it's very logical. it's okay, here's a number on a scales, or here's a number of a measurement, or here's a number of my dress size or shirt size. And then it all becomes very logical of, I need to get that number down. I need to be on this number of calories. I need to do this. I need to do that many steps. And people forget actually why they want to do it. So I say, what does this get for you? Why do you want to do that? How's it going to make you feel? Because we're emotional beings, and emotional drivers are the strongest ones. We make decisions based on emotion, buying decisions, life decisions. It's all based on emotion, whether it's impulse or whether it's a proper, deep, connected understanding of why, you want to do that. That helps people to be more consistent and stay in the game for a lot longer, because anything that you want to achieve, whether it is just fitness, losing some weight, gaining muscle, changing your physique, or whether it is growing a brand, growing a business, growing a property portfolio, it takes time, and we're kind of all pushed towards this instant gratification, and you really do have to think bigger than it. And if you've got that emotional connection to the outcome, you're going to enjoy the process a lot more.
So, I mean, you definitely have that. I think, like, in terms of your commitment and your transition is what I've seen over the last, probably about 4 years. But for you, it would have been a lot longer than that, I think, taking that decision. But it sounds like you kind of fell into property or got intrigued to property, and that drove the personal development side and helped you see, opened your eyes. You got red pilled from a matrix point of view, and you're like, wow, look at all this opportunity available. That mindset and your emotional drivers then at that time, I guess, getting up early, working full days, maybe hitting the gym afterwards, putting out social content at the same time, trying to go and do property viewings and progress your portfolio. All of that stuff's driving towards, I guess, that future, that future version of yourself that you see. What I'm interested in is, I guess, that practical point where you went, right, I'm ready to go from these part-time, maybe some side hustles and property and fitness and, working with some people on mindset to when did that transition from, right, employed to actually full-time business owner, no regular paycheck? Can you talk a bit about and dig into that a little bit in terms of where your head was at that time, and I guess the level of commitment that you needed to have to get through that?
Yeah, absolutely. You say where your head was at. It's, for me, that transition's a really hard one, but it was always about becoming the person that could, because if you think about that transition logically, it's like, right, okay, I need to say I was on 30 grand a year, then I need to have my side hustle that's nearly at that level of money, so then I can make that jump so I can pay my bills and blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't, or from my journey, it didn't actually work like that. It was never about the money. It was always about becoming that person that could step away from that 15 years worth of conditioning of being employed, having that money coming in every week. And it went down to a confidence and a belief point of view, because as humans, we get into this of kind of trying to taint the future with what we've already experienced in the past. But the future really is an unknown. And the more you can become comfortable with that unknown and be confident in your own ability to deal with whatever comes along, is where I became that person. I got to that stage where I was like, do you know what? I believe that it's going to happen, and I believe that I can and will deal with anything that comes my way. Then it was like, right, okay, now I'm ready to step away. And I've only spoke about this publicly a few times, but when I actually left my job, the strategy, if you want to call it, was, right, let's get into a public gym. So I could get into there and be around a couple of thousand warm leads, from a personal training perspective, whilst I grew my online brand and side of my business. That was at the very end of November. So my first month in a gym was in December. Typically seasonally really quiet because it's Christmas, people are out partying, it's party season. And I did a couple of shifts at the gym, because the business model of that gym is you don't have to pay rent, you pay in time. So you do 12 hours on shifts, taking classes, doing like that a week, and then you get to build a business there just for that transaction in time, which it actually works really good because people feel more comfortable to come up to you if you're in a uniform than if you're a big scary PT. So it really works very well. And I did 2 shifts there. Then they started to onboard me, and my personal training qualification got flagged up, and it wasn't accredited by the right governing body for that gym's insurance. And they were like, mate, you can't work here. So I just jumped out of my job, and I only had 3.5 grand in the bank when I did it, which was at the time about a month and a half's bill. So I had a month and a half head start. It was Christmas time. They said, you can't work here. I was like, right. But this is why I'm so big on believing in your own ability to deal with whatever comes your way, because life likes to throw some shit at you. And if you're going to become successful, it's how you can find solutions and deal with that and still keep moving forward towards your goal, rather than using it as an excuse, playing the victim and regressing. Because I could have gone, oh shit, I can't work in this gym, let's go back to flooring. But I didn't. I was like, right, back's against the wall now. What have I got to do to sort this out? And I managed to get a private tutor to put me through my level 2. I had to do my level 2 and level 3 again through the right accredited governing body for this gym insurance. So I got a personal tutor. I did it at Christmas time when all of my stuff had to be externally marked, and people were winding and slowing down for Christmas. And I managed to get the right qualifications back into the gym in sort of midway through January. It took me about 5-6 weeks to get the level 2 and level 3. I just went in, committed. Got these qualifications can take anywhere from 6 months to 12 months for people to do, and I got them done and I passed. I got back into that gym, and this was in Gloucester at the time, and I realized that the demographic of the gym wasn't really working, and Gloucester was a bit of a travel for me. It was taking me sort of 30-40 minutes. And then February there was the same company, they were opening one in Cheltenham, which Cheltenham I've grown up in. All my friends live in Cheltenham. I consider Cheltenham as much as home as the little town that I live in. And this gym was just opening. I made the transition to that gym, and in my first month I earned 5 grand. And I was like, wow, like the universe has rewarded me there for committing to the decision that I made. And that when you make a big decision like that, what I learned from that was, right, I made a huge decision to just make the jump, a leap of faith out of my job into my own, self-employment. And you've got to make that decision the right decision, because I could have gone, oh, I've got to go back to flooring because I can't get into the gym and it's too much of a panic. I've only got a month and a half, in my bank to pay my bills. Then people have said, well, that was the wrong decision, wasn't it, Alec, to leave your job? But because I went backs against the wall mode, I went in and I made it work. People now from the outside looking and go, oh, it was a good decision to leave your job, wasn't it? And I'm like, yeah, because I made it, I committed and I went all in. And that was a huge lesson for me, to just learn that it's okay. The unknown is okay. I don't know where my next pound is coming from. I don't know where my next client is coming from. You can have your goals, but it's still unknown. And I'm just comfortable with whatever comes my way, I'll deal with it. I'll find a way. And that's then when we go back to that confidence and self-belief in yourself to just make whatever, you want happen.
There's so much in that, especially for the fact that it's Christmas time. You've got a month and a half money in the bank to keep you going. You just left your job and you don't have the right qualifications. I think the majority of people out there would have taken the easy option and jumped back to the previous job, but to actually have the dedication, the passion and the energy to go and hammer that throughout the Christmas period when people are still partying away and shutting down. I'd guess you had a hard year as well leading up to that point of leaving. You probably just want to have a bit of downtime, but then to re-enter the new year refreshed, thinking, right, I'm going to have that qualification, and then getting rewarded, having a gym that's closer to you as well, and then having 5 grand, that is just a credit to yourself. Actually push yourself beyond what most people could do. That's
what fitness teaches you as well. I got a lot of that type of mindset from fitness, because there's a direct correlation between fitness and business. The principles of success are always the same. And to actually change your physique, you have to be very disciplined. You have to be commitment. You have to work hard. You have to keep pushing through physical boundaries to stimulate your body to change. That takes a certain attitude. It takes a certain mindset. But that's the transferable skill, if you want, that I just applied into that area of my life. It was like, I've got to be disciplined. I've got to be focused. I've got to work as hard as I can. I've got to be consistent. I've got to do whatever it takes to push that boundary, and that's why I like to give people that perspective on their fitness. Why is it that you're doing it? And let's be very self-aware with the internal transitions you have to go through to change your body, because those internal transitions are the same in business. If you want to start a new business, or you want to push to a new level in business, go down a slightly different direction, it's all about you as a person, how you think and how you operate on a daily basis.
Yeah, there's some like so much in there around commitment and the difference between hoping something positive will happen, hoping some positive change will occur, and making it no matter what. Like the amount of emotional turmoil you must have went through to make the decision to leave, and that would have required strength and sure some hope. But you're recognizing, look, it wasn't a financial financially the numbers stack up and I'm there. It's like, as an individual, I'm ready. And you know what? A month into that, or even less than a month into that, you're getting that sort of setback, and being able to kind of push through Christmas. And this was this was tail end of 2019 as well. So we all know what was coming 3 months after now as well. But you've conditioned yourself to recognize that setbacks, changes are just challenges that you've got to now go and overcome as a business owner, not, oh, well, this tells me that it shouldn't happen for me. And I think I certainly reflect on that and see a lot of that bullshit. I mean, let's call it what it is. We like to tell ourselves sometimes those things when life does go against us and we do experience setbacks, but you've kind of almost conditioned yourself into a point to say, no, actually, this is going to happen no matter what. So how did you, sorry, on you go.
I was just going to say, sorry, also it's all in the public eye because I was so heavy on social media.
Yeah.
There had been 3 years worth of grind and stuff like that to get to that point. It was like, shit, I've got to make this work. Everybody's watching, because that's what it is if you're on social media. Everybody's watching, and there are people out there that want you to fail. And the social media world can be very, very much like that, so it was all in the public eye as well. And like you're saying there, Darren, you have things inside you that want to, keep you safe. We have this natural kind of primal instinct that wants to keep us safe. So then when we jump into the unknown and we're not feeling safe, we're feeling vulnerable and exposed, that's when you've really got to overcome those internal things. But that's where people do fail, because they just go back to safety. And then what happens is you stay the same. You stay still.
Yeah.
Sorry, I jumped in on your next question.
No, I was going to ask us about kind of the transition, how that's been since. Like I've obviously followed you through it. I'm sure when we went into lockdown wouldn't have been particularly good for your business. It would have been yet another challenge for you to overcome. But how has your business, I guess, grown and evolved since then? And maybe even talk a little bit about some of the clients that you've maybe helped over that time. I've certainly seen two H's at Hannah and Haley, in particular. Like
the Chihuahua Charm Academy, is that the one?
Yeah,
it's fantastic name, by the way. Fantastic name.
Yeah,
but I like
absolutely.
I guess just talk about the people that you've helped maybe across that portion of time as well, just to give like people a little bit of an insight into the output that you can help with.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Hannah and Haley are good clients to talk about because they're working with me right now. Let's start with Hannah. Bloody hell, how long have we got? So Hannah, our class is most successful client, because the word success, when people say success, what they instantly think of is money, and financial reward and success and material things. But success really means setting a goal and achieving it. And with Hannah, when Hannah came to me, she was very, very low. She won't mind me saying this because we've been on a podcast together and spoke about this. She had got cuts on her arms, had suicidal thoughts, was 10 stone overweight. She was 18 stone, and she's about 5'1", something like that. She's quite short. She would lock herself away in her room, extremely anxious. She would do the bare minimum at work and would just emotionally eat. I met her at the gym. She was brave enough to come to the gym. I think she just got to a place in her life where she was like, I've got to do something about this. And we started working together from a personal training perspective. I helped her lose 1 stone. Then I said to her, Hannah, I need to help you understand the psychology behind that stone that you've lost, so I can help grow you as a person, and we can grow you in other areas of your life and really work from a personal development perspective. And credit to Hannah, she was so committed to her own journey that she went all in, because I find a lot of people, they lack that commitment to the unknown, like we've just been talking about with mindset coaching. Is very similar to personal training. When there's a financial transaction, there's no tangible return. So you're not going to say, buy this can of Monster, then you get the can of Monster. You pay the money to get access to potentially achieving the result. And a lot of people can't commit to that. It's like, pay that money, then we go do the work. But Hannah did, and she's always been like this. She committed, and she saw that money as an investment in herself. She would get the return for that money, but it would be in a couple of months' time. And we really started to embrace her personality, challenge her beliefs, help her to become a lot more self-aware around her reactions that were given her anxiety and all of these things. We can only in life, we can only control 3 things, and that's our thoughts, our reactions, and our actions. So helping her to understand her reactions and how they were influencing her emotional state, helping her understand her personality, really setting her tasks to do that would get her uncomfortable. I sit down and do zones of operation, this little model which helps you realize what you're doing in your life currently and what zone is it in. Is it in your comfort zone, your stretch zone, your panic zone? And all of the growth and the forward movement comes from doing things that scare you a little bit. In your stretch zone, they stretch you emotionally, or they panic you emotionally. And by sitting down and going through this model, you realize, because when you say, how do you feel in your comfort zone? People go, I feel safe, I feel secure, I feel comfortable, and okay, how do you feel in your stretch zone? I feel anxious, I feel vulnerable, I feel all these things. Okay, so what would you rather feel? I want to feel safe. And okay, but let's think bigger now. Let's think bigger over 12 months of being in your comfort zone. Then suddenly they go, actually, I really feel a little bit bored, a little bit stagnant. And that's really abrasive to our kind of internal state. How do you feel if you were pushing yourself, challenging yourself in your stretch zone? I'd feel uplifted, I'd feel motivated, I'd feel a sense of achievement. I think, okay, so that's where we need to work. We need to work in your stretch zone. And credit to Hannah, she would commit to doing these things that scared the shit out of her. And these things scared the shit out of her, but to other people they wouldn't have. A huge thing for her was going to the hairdressers. She hadn't been to the hairdressers. That's kind of self-care wasn't really something she ever did. So first time I made her go to the hairdressers, she was so nervous. To some people that's a normal thing, but what Hannah did was challenge that insecurity that she had. It doesn't matter what your insecurity is, whether it's going to the hairdressers or it's going to the gym where you feel uncomfortable. It's that being comfortable with the discomfort and going through that process, which what Hannah does. She had the courage to do that. People lack that courage. She evolved so much of a person. She come out of herself. She became more confident. She realized I challenged all these beliefs that had been created in her when she was growing up around, she couldn't be who she wanted to be. She couldn't be who she was, sorry. And she got 2 pay rises at work. She got 2 promotions at work. We lost the 10 stone. It took 17 months. She lost 10 stone. She's now tiny, and she's now just got a brand new job because there wasn't the career growth at the job that she was in. So, she's now transitioned into a slightly different career and just really, really happy. So, in the terms of success, she's set some goals and really achieved some great things. She's now, just this little bubbly ball of energy. When you go back to where she was this nervous, reclusive, she couldn't even look me in the eye when we started together. And now I can't shut her up, and that's what growth as a person is. So I say she's my most successful client because because of the demons that she's overcome in her own life. And then we move on.
Well, just
Sorry.
quickly, just quickly, actually, before we jump, I mean, there's so much in there. We can't just jump onto somebody else before we talk about that. I mean,
Yeah.
because what you've really done there, I guess, there's two parts that, I guess, what Hannah's done is you've helped reframe what success is. So for a lot of people, success is money, materialistic things, and everything else. But for her, it's actually believing in herself, feeling comfortable in herself, being happy with herself, and actually moving away from that self-harming and whatever else, which is tremendous to herself and yourself. So credit to both of you. But again, it's for her. It's for her also for taking that leap, like yourself, taking that leap and making that jump and going to the gym. That in itself is sheer bravery, and that should be acknowledged as well. I think that's fantastic. But that must make you proud as well to think about how far she's come.
So proud. Yeah, it goes deeper than pride, I think. You know, it's a really special journey to go on as a coach and a client and a relationship, you know, because coaching, personal training, mentoring, any type of role like that, it's always a relationship. There's got to be respect there from both sides. You know, there's a lot that goes into it to help get the best for somebody, you know, to really change what they think they already know. And with Hannah, that's developed into such a really strong, powerful relationship that I can't see it ending any soon, because she just loves that process. She just wants to keep growing and evolving. And we're as a coach and a client, we're just in the unknown now. You know, we're both in the unknown, and I just keep Hannah moving towards, you know, all these new things. It's like, right, okay, achieve this goal, what's next? Achieve this goal, what's next? And I think that's what life's about. You know, I think that's what life's about, is constant evolution and growth.
Yeah, that how you decide or spoke about that kind of, I can't remember what it was, zones of operation. Zone of operation. But you're like, so where you are just now, right? Your comfort zone. It's often said like the growth starts at the edge of your comfort zone, but it is almost just expanding that out almost in terms of your life, in terms of what do you want professionally, personally, whether it's monetary gain, if it's physical goals that you've got. But it is trying to be that best version of yourself, requires that anxiousness, that difficulty, that pressure, I guess, that growth demands. That is the byproduct of kind of expanding that inner circle. So no, I love that. And what I really like, just as an outside observer, was just, I think she knew, this is an assumption, but you always had her back. And I think that can be for the right individual, that can be so powerful to know that, look, I know this is bloody difficult, and I can see you doing everything you can towards it. But no, I'm here when you fall, or if you fall.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm going to catch you and I'm going to pick you back up. It's about getting back up and about kind of pushing on and going for that next level. Because success isn't a straight line. It's not going to be plain sailing. Not. You know, and you've kind of been through those similar transitions yourself, not physically, but mentally. You've left your job and then being told you don't have a job now. You don't have those 12 hours. You can't work in this gym. Business model scrapped. Yeah. And then COVID's hit, lockdown 4 or 5 months later. You've had to adapt to all of these things. So coming back to what we were saying earlier, you can only take someone as far as you've gone yourself. You're kind of digging deep into your own reserves and experience to be able to help Hannah kind of move forward. So no, I love that. Absolutely loved it.
It's I really focus on and go deep with clients on emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. You know, as human beings, everybody focus on IQ, you know, how intellectually smart you are. And emotional quotient gets a little bit forgotten, but it's so powerful, right? So you said, Darren, the growth occurs or starts at the edge of your comfort zone. But that's where you start to feel different, because you feel nervous, don't you? You feel a little bit anxious. You feel vulnerable and exposed. But what you have to remember is that's actually a positive thing. It's not a negative. People frame that as negative. Oh, nerves. Oh, it's bad. Or feel anxious. It's bad. But that's the doorway. That's the access to the next level, to the next version, to the result, to the outcome, the growth, whatever you want to call it. So once you've gone through that process once with something small, You know, like for Hannah, it maybe going to the hairdressers. She was feeling nervous and all of that. For me, leaving my job or whatever it is, it doesn't, the actual, the situation doesn't matter. It's still the internal process. And it's how can people understand that is how they keep growing and achieving. Nerves. Okay, I feel nerves. This is the right thing to be doing. Nerves. What is nerves? Oh, it's energy. You know, you go into that flight or fight, don't you, where your body goes into that anxious state because it pumps your heart, because you've got this instinctual primal thing of, right, we've got to run from a saber-toothed tiger or something like that. So your muscles go a little bit tense. You might get a little bit sweaty. You get your pupils dilate, your heart's pumping faster because your body's getting ready to run or to fight. But in today's society, we get that reaction over silly things like, oh, coming on a podcast, I might be a little bit nervous. So you have to frame that in your mind as a real positive thing, because I've got nerves. That's will then transpire into the performance. It will give me more energy then, i.e., when we're running or we're fighting the saber-toothed tiger, we're going to get adrenaline, we're going to get that. So it's really just understanding that and going through with it. And the more times you do that, the more you learn about it. Okay, I know for me personally that when I feel that vulnerability, I call it the next level is vulnerability, right? So I call it that the vulnerability zone. When I'm in that, I get sweaty armpits, I get clammy hands a little bit, and I try and I start to overthink things. But because I've gone through this stage of uncomfort or discomfort quite a lot, I can reframe it and use it to my advantage rather than my disadvantage. You know, your emotions, they control you or you control them. And by controlling them, you just get a better performance. The nerves doesn't stop you. The nerves actually adds value because it's energy.
I like that because you talk about the overthinking thing, and I've seen that on some of your social posts. I don't follow you as much as Darren has for the last couple of years, only quite recently. But I like how you talk about overthinking as a habit, and it's a bad habit, an internal habit we can change. But even you talk about that fear aspect as well. And I've seen another post which actually made me buckle in laughter. We talk about the fear of judgment, and you put a video on social media and talk about how you shared something with a KFC the other day and somebody gave you grief about it. But then you break it down, you say it's like looking at a Vincent van Gogh and you look at the bottom corner of the picture and that's all you see. That's all you see, that kind of short-sightedness. That's all you can focus on instead of seeing the bigger picture. But I guess that fear and sweatiness and all that stuff, it's once you've conquered your own belief, you then move on to something else, which is if you want to share it with the world, if you want to become that social person, that's another barrier you have to come beyond, isn't it, I guess, as well?
Yeah. Well, overthinking comes from insecurity most of the time, because why are you overthinking? What is overthinking? It's you're projecting yourself into the future, into the outcome, and trying to think of what's going to happen, you know, and that just comes from not actually having that confidence in your ability to deal with it when it's happening. So you try and create comfort in your mind by overthinking the situation. So I've overthink it from, oh, what could go wrong? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if that goes wrong? And that comes from the insecurity. Or you might be overthinking it from like, oh, what if, how could it go right? All the things that could go right. Both sides of it are just, you just don't need to think of all of that, because how you thought it would happen, it never happens like that anyway. So it's just wasted energy. Yeah. It's just complete wasted energy. You know, you're just fabricating something that hasn't happened and may not happen, and it's driven by your insecurity or probably your own ego. So, you know, the best thing to do for that overthinking is to just realize that you just don't need to. You know, if it's from there's a lot to overthinking of why you're doing it and it depends on the situation. But there's also a little saying that like overthinking comes from underdoing. If you're overthinking something, you're not taking enough action in a certain area of your life as well, you know, so you're trying to overthink it to get that reward of you are doing enough. So sometimes the solution to overthinking is to do more. And sometimes your solution is to just stop thinking and believe in yourself that when this situation that you're nervous about is going to happen, you will just do the best that you can in it. Because another thing, if you overthink a situation, that dampens your intuition in the situation because it never pans out the way you thought it would do. Does that make sense? So if you just forget about it and just back yourself. When it happens, you'll just be intuitive.
And that's where I see similarities between yourself and Darren. I see that where Darren's kind of, you've accepted that, Darren, haven't you? You've kind of just taken that on board. A couple of years back, there was that kind of nervousness about showing yourself on social media, but you've just let people see who you are, and that authenticity is just shining through.
I think there's a lot of similarities there in terms of what you've said in my philosophy as a coach. I do a bit of property mentoring as well, Alec, and although Chris isn't actually in property, it's going to amuse him that you thought it was a property podcast. We're speaking to too many property people, Chris. But yeah, I always often talk about, like, you need to be really clear about the output. Like, what are you going to, like, and why is that important to you? And we spoke about that earlier on. But once you've done that, the attention needs to switch to obviously strategy, but what are your inputs? If you focus on the inputs and the action, you're not going to think about, oh, this isn't happening, or I'm not doing this, or whatever, because the action, as long as it's the right type of action, obviously, that is relevant and it's moving you towards that, it doesn't matter that you've not got, say, this is a property client, that you've not got a deal accepted, right? How many viewings are you doing? How many letters are you sending out? How many agents are you speaking to? How many private investors conversations have you had? Focus on the inputs. The outputs will take care of themselves, but you're not going to overthink things if you're just out there taking the right relevant action. You're going to overthink when you're not doing that, because thinking only can happen when you're in a state of, like, relative downtime and you're not doing much. No one's running 100% on the treadmill and thinking, what am I going to have for my lunch today? No, your heart's beating, your legs are moving, you're trying to just get through it. And it's the exact same way any activity in business or, in the gym or whatever else. So, yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
It'd be good to talk about, I love the name, honestly, the Chihuahua Charm Academy.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about Hayley, because we're going to talk about Hayley briefly and we kind of jumped on it. It's my fault, apologies. But yeah, what about Hayley?
Yeah, absolutely. Hayley's brilliant. And it's just another really, really cool journey to be a part of. So the Chihuahua Charm Academy is Hayley's new online VIP membership group. So let me go back to the beginning. Hayley was following me on social media, and she took notice of what I was doing because of another client that I was working with, another dog trainer called Helen, who still works with me in the gym. And Hayley came to me with, she was just low on confidence. She was in lockdown. She was decreasing the price of her service because she was low on confidence and she wasn't getting clients and stuff. So she thought she needed to decrease her price, which really what that does is it only decreases your own self-worth. And just come to me a little bit, it's broken the right word, just a little bit clouded, on where she was and where she wanted to go. And it was spiraling down to be a little bit destructive for her personally. So we got to work and we set some goals. I looked at her business, where it was, and found some opportunities. She had a free group on her social media around Chihuahuas, and she's a dog trainer as well. So we was like, right, okay. She won't mind me saying this neither. Where she was living on universal credit, hardly getting any clients, and just spiraling down. So she was backs against the wall for her as well. So we looked at her business and we found, right, a few areas that she could focus on. So I've got to get her achieving things, just ticking things off, achieving. So she's moving forward. She's not like you, Darren, saying you've got to take action to not overthink. You've got to be moving forwards. You've got to actually be going in the direction. And I got her fully booked. She got fully booked, so she had to create a waiting list. So that made her feel like brilliant. She then got off universal credit. Her business is back up on its feet because we worked on her as a person. Then we was like, right, we've got a positive problem here. You're fully booked. You have no more time. You've got a waiting list of people that want to work with you. From a business perspective, how do we keep growing? Do you want to just be a fully booked dog trainer for the rest of your life and just be really, really busy all the time? That's, it's not healthy to do that. So we looked at this Chihuahua Charm Academy. So she's got this, does do dog training, but she specializes in Chihuahuas, and she had quite a lot of people in a free group. And I said, what we've got to do now is create a paid group where, there's no ceiling to it. You can have as many people in there, but you can also help more people. And with their dogs, you can help more people, but for less investment of your own time. So you can still be a busy dog trainer, but then you can have an online coaching platform where people pay a small monthly subscription. But from a business point of view, the more people you get, the more income that is. But then you can also add so much more value to people, because when it comes to dogs, it's not just about the dog, it's about the person. It's about the relationship between the dog and the person. It's about the person understanding themselves, the person understanding their dogs, but also understanding the bond, so they can get, it's similar to a coach client, it's all about understanding. So yes, and what I had to also help her become the person that could facilitate that. So we had to drop it at the right time. So how hard social media is to put yourself out there. She got fully booked by becoming visible, but then there was also, we've now got to lead people. So I had to help her to become a leader, to become confident and competent with running training sessions, doing videos, being on camera, because she's got loads and loads and loads of passion for what she does, but passion isn't enough, so she's really, really grown in confidence. She's earning the most money she has been earning. And yes, this we've dropped this Chihuahua Charm Academy, and she's got, the last time I checked, there was 17 people. So it's really taken off and been successful, and more people are inquiring because of the FOMO that it creates as well. Because the goal isn't just to help more dog owners become better, have a better bond and relationship with their Chihuahuas. It's also to create a Chihuahua community that people want to be a part of. That's ethically such a good thing from a community perspective, but also a business perspective, because it's just a good business of positivity. So yeah, she's now just growing that, and it's another journey. That success, if you compare it to Hannah's success, two completely different stories and journeys, but they've gone from a place of feeling low back to neutral, but then into a new level of growth, and they're now really flourishing as people. And yeah, it's so nice to be able to facilitate that, because I'm not a dog trainer. So do I qualify to coach a dog trainer in business? Probably not. But what I do is I understand people, I understand psychology, I understand emotional intelligence, and how to get the best out of somebody. And that's really, from what I found my coaching career, is that's all you need.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, we're all business owners as well. And you recognize that level of anxiety, maybe discomfort, it doesn't actually ever go anywhere. So,
no,
but it's so much easier. Yeah, it's so much easier if you can see, right, this is where I'm going. This is what the next step on the staircase is. It's not like, right, where I need to be in, 10 years and I need to do that right now. It's like, what's the next step that I'm looking at that would drive the business forward, that would help more people, help you be able to scale the business, come off universal credit, all of those things, I guess. I even seen you were on one of Haley's calls, our coaching calls with our community, which again just harks back. I just want to stop and recognize what I see about you having your clients back and knowing that you're there to support them. It's not like, oh, this is the end of our 60-minute session. Let's see you later. You're very much like, you come across as a 24/7 coach. I mean that not in a you're always available because you've nothing else to do, but in a like you'll be there for your clients when they need you to be.
It's more caring, isn't it? More caring, yeah.
Yeah, it's that genuine desire to actually want to help somebody, because when you're experiencing life, say if you go to a counsellor, right, and you have that 60-minute session and then you leave the office, life's going to happen, something's going to happen, and if you can't speak to that person until you've booked in that next session, something can go catastrophically wrong. But where I like to offer that 24/7 support, because that's the pivotal moment, because life likes to chuck some shit at you. Like I've said, it's always about who do you need to become, what do you need to do, And how can you keep moving forward on that journey? How can you deal with life situations? So me being on hand for clients when something happens, and Hayley's had a few things along the way happen that she wouldn't want me to talk about, but life does happen. That's when they need that reframe. They need that perspective shift. They need that arm around them, or they need a foot at their ass. Sometimes I need to tell somebody a little bit straight to put their problem in perspective, because their problem's been so blown up in their mind. But from the outside looking in, it's like, come on. And it's those pivotal moments where they go down a different path. If you can't speak to your coach when life has chucked that shit at you, that shit will stick and send you down a different path, then I've got more work to do to reframe that at that time. So I give people that access to me because it's so much more valuable. Yeah, and I've got a call today with Hayley at 1 because she messaged me and said, I need to speak to you about this, and that. I was like, right, cool. Let's get on a call straight away, so we can deal with that situation, so you can still keep moving forward.
I guess sorry. There you go.
No, sorry, cool. And I was going to say that the things that life can chuck at you can be really horrible things, health scares, family members' health scares, and all of these things that if you don't deal with can really derail you from your goals. And those things are going to happen.
Yeah, and just looking at, obviously, like I said before, I've not been following you that long because I'm quite new to it. And what I can see is that confidence in what you're probably telling your clients when they look at what you're putting out there on social media. It's all authentic. It's all real. It's all about you. It's you showing different sides of you as well. I can see there's lots of you with your kind of top off, showing how strong you are and how confident you are about your fitness and your body and how your stress sense and everything else. So there's all that coming through. It's all that authenticness and people giving you bad grief on social media and how you deal with it as well. So you're showing them that life does come with other challenges. So once you've got your business, once you've got all this going on as well, there's other aspects to it. But I'm here to deal with it, and I can deal with it with you as well. So I think that's popular and successful as well.
There's so much power in perspective, and like you said earlier, Chris, about the Van Gogh analogy that I said in that video, is how do you deal with judgment, right? So if you've got the fear of judgment, it's always anticipatory fear. You anticipate you're going to be judged, and you fear that. But when you really change your perspective, but what actually is that judgment? It's that Van Gogh analogy. Somebody's going to interpret a snapshot of what you're doing in how they're feeling at in that moment in time, and they're going to just comment on it flippantly without seeing the bigger picture. And it's seeing that perspective that just gives me that comfort that like nobody else's opinion really matters, because it's going to be looking at the corner of Van Gogh's picture. Just for the benefit of the audience, what I said was, when somebody judges you online, it's usually because they've got their own problems, but we won't get into that. They're only looking at that specific moment. So it's like looking at Vincent van Gogh's beautiful picture of the sunflower, looking at the bottom right-hand corner where it's just black, and then saying, well, that's a shit picture. But they haven't seen the whole picture. And it's the same thing as what people do online, is they just interpret something you've said, take it out of context based on what they're going through in their own mind and their own lives at that point in time. And their outwardly defense will just be a verbal opinion. And it's always opinion. And because I fully understand that, it gives me that perspective. If I just pity that person, or I can see it as that, and it never actually affects me because it's not about me. I know that KFC scenario where somebody told me, because I'm into fitness and I promote healthy living and stuff like that, this person said that I'm promoting false information because I said you can eat KFC and still have a good physique. But what that person didn't see, he was only looking at that bottom right hand corner of the picture. He didn't see the whole sunflower, because what I actually promote is an 80-20 balance. 80% be disciplined, be focused, 100% discipline in that 80, but then the 20% go eat some shit, go party, go live your life, be sociable, be fun. And it's that 100% that the 80% is enough to keep you progressing physically, mentally and emotionally, but that 20% stops the feeling of over restriction, which can be very destructive, which can lead to binges, that can lead to you going flying off the handle and stuff. And that 20% actually is an investment in the 80% to keep you consistent. But he didn't see the big sunflower picture. He made a comment based on the bottom hand corner, and I'm okay with that, because that's his opinion, and it's very it's based off limited information.
Yeah, and even if this is the thing about our own pictures, and I do a bit of narrative coaching, but no one, like, we can write the story of ourselves and we can interpret. We ultimately can be the masters of whatever it is we want to do. No external person, no one other than us. Sorry, for some reason I keep getting Echo Buds feedback. I don't know if that
I've got that at the moment.
But so I'm just talking and saying, please, to confirm setup, go to your Alexa app. But yeah, so I've completely forgotten what I was. It's doing that again.
I jump from what you were saying. Is it goes back to what I said earlier. You can only control those three things, and if you focus on those three things, you're going to be in control.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, your reactions, and your actions. So reactions is one of the biggest. Thoughts is massive, because you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts aren't real. That you are. There's like your being, and then there's your thoughts. You can listen to your thoughts if you train yourself to, and realize that they're not real. You can choose the thoughts that you want to act upon, but then there's also life situations. How have you reacted to that? There's a saying in NLP: nothing has meaning apart from the meaning that you give it. So that gives you control, right? How many times do we have faced a certain situation and say it is what it is? That person is something. But if you can change that reaction to something more positive, something that adds value, something that helps you move forward, something that creates a solution, you've got control over that, because you can't control the situation. You can just control how you react to it. And a lot of times people react in a way that doesn't serve them. It's a negative emotional reaction, or they form a belief around it, or something that keeps them still. So you have that control over that reaction that then gives you control over the action that you take. You're just in the driving seat of your own life.
That sounds honestly like a fantastic way to wrap this up. This is like a summary of the whole thing. Give us those 3 points again. The 3 points before we finish up.
Oh, so all you can only truly control in this life, that gives you control of this life, is your thoughts, your reactions, and your actions.
Fantastic. That is a fantastic way to wrap up the podcast.
So when a situation happens, what are you thinking about? How did you react? What do you need to do? There you go.
Beautiful. Definitely going to use that for a clip. That's fantastic, Alec. It was fantastic meeting you, fantastic speaking to you. I love the stuff you're putting out there. I love the fact that you're just so confident. I'd love to look back and see the stuff you're putting out 3 years ago to see how it's different from now, because just the confidence is coming out in all your social media stuff is just phenomenal. Just the energy as well is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do in the fitness world as well. I know that's where you're looking to try and grow some more, which would be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be fantastic.
Before you go, Alec, I guess where can people reach you just now? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. So the best way is social media. I've got a website, got an email address, but I just find that there's a lot more. You'll get a lot more clarity on who I am and see my personality, because everything's about that. If you don't like me, you don't like me. You never want to work with me. You don't want to follow me. That's cool. You don't get that from a website. So if you follow me on Instagram, it's at Alec Thomas Henry, and on Facebook, it's just Alec Witts. They're the best ways to reach me. You can look at my website; it's on my Instagram. But it's best to just follow me on social media.
Good stuff. Well, we'll put the links in the show notes as well, and if it's okay, we'll also do the same with Hayley and Hannah as well, and the various projects you've got going on. But yeah, listen, to echo Chris's point, it's been a pleasure having you on and getting to know you a bit better as well, Alec, because it's been one dimensional, as in I've been watching you for a while, so it's good to kind of peel behind the curtain and kind of go in a little bit deeper in a few different areas. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on. And there's something I say to my business clients around social media. So let me leave you this one little bit of nugget, this bit of value around business and social media. Okay, so you've watched me for years now, and you feel like you know me. That's the power that social media gives, because people buy from people they like, know, and trust. And social media gives you the opportunity to build subconscious rapport with people that follow you day in and day out. If you're consistent with showing your personality, getting your message out there, people feel like they know you. And that in business is very, very, very powerful. That breaks through, I don't want to do a video because I'm scared of what that person might say. Think of it of actually, what rapport am I building with my potential target market, then social media becomes easy and powerful.
I'm a lesson in and of itself, Alex. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. Really great to chat to you, to meet you properly, and it's great to have the opportunity to add value to people that may be listening.
Thanks a lot. Speak soon, Alex.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. See you again. Bye-bye.
As always, thank you so much for listening to the Pop Pod this week. If you'd like to leave a review or share the podcast with others, then that'd be awesome. You'll find us on Instagram at the Pop Pod, and on Facebook we have a community group called Purpose to Progress that anyone can join. And we'll be back every Monday with a new episode, but until then, stay on purpose and we'll see you next week.